Alright people, quick warning. This is going to be a boring video, like a talking head video, but it's going to have a lot of insight and useful information regarding troop training. Now, the title of the video, why you should always train tier 4s in off-season, and as you can see, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm training only tier 4s in the whole off-season. Now I will explain my reasonings, and if you think they make sense, I think you should do the same. Now, the first thing is, why am I training tier 4s only? Is because my overall power. If you just keep training tier 5s instead of tier 4s, you will gradually increase your power pretty quickly. Now, why it is a problem? There's one major reason for that, and that is your kingdom's KVK contribution requirements. Pretty much any serious kingdom in Rise of Kingdoms do have some sort of a KVK contribution goal. The number of deaths you need, the number of kills you need to stay in the kingdom or one of the top alliances. And those goals are determined by your power. So the higher power you have, the more aggressive goals your kingdom, your leadership is going to assign for you, which is going to give you a harder time completing it, reaching your KVK contribution goal. And that's why, in my opinion, you should always train tier 4s instead of tier 5s in off-season, so that you don't massively increase your power. And once you're registered for the KVK, and once your leadership decides what is going to be the requirement per each player depending on their power, your goals are not going to be as aggressive. I think this is important and quite overlooked. That was reason number one. And reason number two is, if there is an event like Zenith of Power, trust me, if you save enough speed ups and enough resources, even as a free-to-play, technically you can win a Zenith of Power city skin. Now, why tier 4s and tier 5s are important when it comes to Zenith of Power? Because I'm going to give you, I'm going to try to explain it verbally and hope you guys will understand. Most of you will. Here's the deal. Let me speed this up real quick so I can show you what I'm talking about. So if I train straight up 2000 tier 5 cavalry, it's going to take 1 day and 19 hours, which equals in total 43 hours. However, if I upgrade my existing tier 4s to tier 5s, it will take 14 hours and 20 minutes. As you can see, training straight up tier 5s instead of upgrading your tier 4 to tier 5 is the time you need, the speed ups you need to use is more than triple. However, if we take a look at how many points you get from training in Zenith of Power,
6.5 hours later.
Sadly, I couldn't find any video or screenshot regarding the actual Zenith of Power points. However, here's the thing. The speed ups you need to use is less than triple, but the points you get, I think, almost half. So basically, instead of 40 something hour speed ups, you are spending 14 hours of speed ups, but you are still getting around half of the points. So essentially, once you train thousands of troops, what happens is you're going to spend way less speed ups and still gain a lot of power. And it's not just for Zenith, basically for pretty much any power up event. Instead of training straight up tier 5s, if you upgrade your existing tier 4s to tier 5s, you're going to spend way less speed ups, but you will still get really good number of points. And of course, the more tier 4s you have, the more you can upgrade to tier 5 to get the better value, more points for less speed ups. And the final reason is open field fighting. I don't know if you guys ever heard the term. I used it a lot back in the day. It goes like this: tier 5s are meant to die, tier 4s are meant to fight. Now, the main reason behind this is that healing tier 5s requires a lot more resources compared to healing your tier 4 units. And that's why what happens in the field fighting is that unless your hospital is full, you don't give any dead troops. Instead, all those troops goes to your hospital, and you will need to heal those troops. If you heal tier 5s and tier 4s, if you compare the resource cost, especially the gold, the resource cost of both troop tiers, you'll see that the difference is crazy. And unless you have 20 different farm accounts or you're a high spender, you won't be able to sustain healing all your tier 5 troops. I'm not saying that tier 4s are better than tier 5s. Of course, they are tier 5s for a reason. They're much stronger than tier 4s. However, you will still, quote unquote, win the trades when it comes to comparing the resources you need to heal your troops back. For example, let's say we are dueling with each other. You are using tier 4s, I'm using tier 5s. On paper, let's say I did win the duel. However, for me to recover, heal all those tier 5 troops, I will need to spend a lot more resources compared to you just healing your tier 4s. And when I say tier 5s are meant to die, is that I'm talking about reinforcing the rallies and garrisons with your tier 5 units. I've already explained the first reason, because tier 5s are just so expensive to heal, especially when it comes to gold cost. And number 2 is, again, we're gonna go all the way back to KVK Contribution. The more tier 5 deaths you have, the more contribution points you will get for your kingdom. And I keep talking about these contribution points. Maybe your kingdom doesn't have any list, doesn't have any goals when it comes to KVK Contribution. And if that's the case, and if you consider yourself as a serious Rise of Kingdoms player, I think you should look for a migration, because most serious kingdoms in the game, or competitive kingdoms in the game, they have a certain goal and requirements for each player to reach in their KVK goals. And what counts through reaching that goal is the number of units you killed or severely wounded and the number of dead troops you have. And if you have a lot of tier 5 deaths, this is going to help you a lot reaching your KVK contribution goal, because basically you will get more contribution points for your kingdom. And because of all those reasons, T4s are meant to fight, T5s are meant to die. And if you are high on resources, let's say at the start of the KVK, you can combine tier 4s and tier 5s. Like, you don't have to use pure tier 4 or pure tier 5. You can combine both troop tiers together and use it until you are low on resources, and then completely switch to full tier 4 units. And that's why, ladies and gentlemen, you should always be training tier 4 units in your off season and upgrade them to tier 5. Let's say when you decide to compete for a power up event, or you are trying to do the Bastion quest that requires you to gain power or train certain number of units, then you can upgrade your troops instead of training new tier 4s. Hope you guys liked it, hope you guys enjoyed it. I know it was a little bit boring, but I told you, I warned you, it was going to be a talking head video. I see you guys on the next one. Goodbye.